Minecraft is an open-world game where there are no specific goals to achieve. The initial version of the game was launched in May 2009, created by just one individual. However, as one might expect, the graphics from back then are not comparable to today's standards. So today, I will attempt to recreate the first version of Minecraft using Unity and RTX. But first, I need to thoroughly analyze classic Minecraft. Meanwhile, let me introduce you to Project Z, which sponsors this video. This is a new social platform where you can connect with new friends who have similar interests as you. With the new Meet feature, it will pair you with someone to chat for a few minutes, either by text or voice, to see if you get along. Additionally, there is the Cinema Room feature that allows you to watch videos or listen to music with your friends. Or why not enjoy it with new friends you just met through the last feature? You can also create or join communities called circles, whether to talk or why not, play Among Us together. So I invite you to download Project Z and register with my code LouisDev without the V, available for Android and iOS. Well, the first step is to discover how to generate terrain. The easiest way would be to clone a cube thousands of times. It would work if it weren't for the fact that we do not have a NASA PC. Literally, the cube runs at 10 frames per second, which is a relatively small terrain. So how does Minecraft optimize this? After some investigation, I found out that Minecraft's terrain is hollow on the inside. In other words, only the visible faces are generated, unlike our version which wastes resources on invisible blocks. Therefore, we must optimize it. When a block is generated, the code checks all directions for neighboring blocks. If it finds one, the face is dismissed, yet there's a problem. And that problem is that this process takes a little while. So each time the player adjusts the terrain, the game halts for a second while it recalculates everything. Fortunately, the answer is quite simple. You only need to break the map into segments, also known as chunks. Thus, you only have to recalculate a small section instead of the whole map. Okay, let's apply some elevation. I employed a mathematical function known as Perlin noise, which by coincidence is also used in Minecraft. It has the peculiarity of generating a smooth and infinite pattern very similar to mountains, perfect for creating terrain. After several iterations and some brainstorming, I managed to give the terrain elevation and make it infinite. Everything is okay, but the terrain appears very barren and lifeless. A bit of vegetation would help. The first thing I thought of was trees. Let's add them. To start with the easiest part, which is to set a log block, the intention is to spread it out evenly and in a random way. Then, from the log, the rest is built. But when I say random, it is not 100% random. Otherwise, the log would change places every time the chunk loads. Therefore, I utilized a pseudo-random number generator that uses the coordinates of the chunk as a seed. Now it operates as intended. Then, I added herbs and flowers with the same code. But remember to remove unnecessary faces. I had to adjust their behavior with transparent blocks as opposed to opaque ones. A transparent block does allow you to see neighboring blocks. Now it works. Afterward, I needed to separate the plants from the ground, as they must be handled differently for collisions to function properly. And that's it. The procedural generation is finished, but first we need to optimize the code a bit. At this moment, generating a chum takes too much time, which is due to the code running on just one CPU thread. I mean, if we consider chums as cars and the thread as the road, too many cars will create a jam. So we are going to build more threads or roads so that more cars can pass at once. Meaning, instead of generating chums one by one, we generate several at once to be more efficient. To achieve an RTX look for the game, I first implemented post-processing, then I adjusted the sun's position to create a lovely sunrise. Next, I turned on dynamic clouds, resulting in an immediate 1000% improvement. Then I activated volumetric fog to add even more depth, and I also added reliefs to the blocks for a bit more detail. Finally, I programmed a day cycle but without night. When the sun sets, it immediately rises on the opposite side. I felt lazy about setting up the night lighting in XD. Now, I need to create the main player. According to the Minecraft wiki, the character stands at 1.8 blocks tall and 0.6 blocks wide. So I stretched the capsule to adjust the size. Then I programmed the camera movement and it was sure to work perfectly the first time. Then I added all the features typical of a first-person game, such as walking, running, and jumping. But it feels like it lacks a certain touch. The camera will shake slightly while walking to simulate head movement. In the end, I adjusted the camera to zoom out slightly while running to increase the sensation of speed. Now, I need to implement the inventory system. In classic Minecraft, only these blocks are available. So I took the initiative to add more. A bit more, but it doesn't really matter, since I didn't add blocks like the mushrooms and sponge, lol. I programmed it so that the blocks could be equipped and organized, and I also made it so that the mouse wheel could select the block the player wants to place. Let's go like in the original game. To implement the block placement and removal system, an invisible ray is shot from the center of the screen, and when it strikes a chunk, it performs some mathematical calculations to determine where a block should be removed or placed. But there is a problem, and that is that all modifications made by the player in a chunk are erased when it is unloaded and loaded again. So I implemented a saving system that keeps a list of all changes made in that chunk, allowing it to revert to its state when loaded back. Finally, I added the little cross in the middle of the screen and also the S effect to highlight the blocks. Then, I have incorporated the feature to save the game upon exiting, as well as the main menu that includes options for loading or creating a game. Undoubtedly, this is among the most graphically demanding games I have developed. It has also been one of the hardest to program since I have never worked on anything like it before. Additionally, I would have liked to add more blocks, implement a multiplayer system, and create an Android version. If we get to 100,000 likes, I will make the second part. Anyway, I will leave the download link in the description along with the specifications of my PC, and thanks to Project Z for sponsoring the video. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe if you want more games in 24 hours and sometimes RTX. I always read the comments for any ideas, suggestions, and opinions. This is Luis Def, and I'll catch you in the next video.